Have you ever noticed how the more you desperately want something, the more it seems to slip through your fingers? Perhaps it's a career milestone, a relationship, or even a state of peace within yourself. You visualize it, you try to control it, you chase it, and yet somehow, it eludes you. And the harder you push, the heavier the resistance becomes. This paradox, this invisible force that pushes back whenever desire intensifies, is something almost no one talks about, but it is the key to transforming your reality. What if I told you that the very moment you let go of clinging to the outcome, the universe begins to realign in ways you could never have orchestrated? That the reality you've been chasing might start chasing you instead? Detachment is often misunderstood. Many hear the word and think it means giving up or becoming indifferent. But this is far from the truth. Detachment is a subtle yet profound shift in consciousness. It's the understanding that your worth, your happiness, and your sense of peace are not dependent on the arrival of a particular outcome. You are not rejecting the goal, you are simply releasing the need to control its timing or its form. It is an inner surrender that feels paradoxically empowering. The moment you stop forcing, struggling, and wrestling with life, the path opens. It is as if the universe recognizes your willingness to trust and gently moves things into place. Consider the analogy of holding water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more water slips away. But if you allow your hands to open, the water remains without effort. Your desire is like that water. Your grip, your fixation, your incessant must-have-it-now mentality is what drives it away. When you soften, when you release, you allow life to flow naturally. And in that flow, opportunities appear, often in forms far more magnificent than what you imagined while clinging so tightly. This is not about abandoning ambition or dreams. It is about shifting from a state of tension to a state of alignment. From chasing to embodying. From asking life to come to you, to being so vibrationally in tune that it cannot help but move toward you. The difference is subtle yet profound. Attachment keeps you stuck in the frequency of lack, in the vibration of absence. Detachment, on the other hand, elevates you into a frequency where your desired reality is already acknowledged, already mirrored within your being. It is a complete shift from external focus to internal resonance. Many seekers resist this idea because it feels counterintuitive. If I stop trying so hard, will I really get what I want? They ask. And the answer is yes, but only when you understand the invisible dynamics at play. The universe, or reality itself, responds to states of being more than to frantic actions. When your energy relaxes, when you cease resistance, when your heart stops trying to force life into a mold, the possibilities expand. Your mind may initially feel uncomfortable with this stillness. It wants results, proof, certainty, but that discomfort is simply the echo of old conditioning. Society, upbringing, and past experiences have trained us to believe that only struggle and control produce outcomes. In reality, this struggle often creates barriers rather than bridges. Imagine a timeline where you are attached. Every thought, every worry, every obsessive, "how will it happen?" reinforces that same timeline. Now imagine a timeline where you are detached. Your energy is lighter, more fluid, more receptive. You notice opportunities that were invisible before. Synchronicities appear, almost as if the universe is whispering, "Here, this is for you." The more you practice this detachment, the more effortless life becomes. And the beauty of it is that this shift is not about waiting passively. It is about being fully present, fully aligned, fully alive in the moment, while the world rearranges itself around your inner state. This first step, detaching from the outcome, is a doorway. On the other side lies a freedom many seekers only glimpse briefly. Freedom from struggle, freedom from anxiety, freedom from the illusion that you must control everything to achieve everything. This is not magic. It is a fundamental principle of consciousness, of energy, of how reality responds to awareness. The moment you embrace this truth, your life begins to change, not because the world bends to your will, but because your alignment allows you to meet the life you desire as if it were inevitable. So, as we begin this journey together, I invite you to notice your own patterns of attachment. Observe the areas of your life where you are gripping too tightly, where you are desperately trying to manufacture results. Know that this is natural, and yet know that a subtle shift awaits you. The moment you loosen your grip, the moment you allow detachment to arise, reality itself starts to pivot. And what follows is not just a change in circumstance, but a transformation of the self. A self that is lighter, freer, and far more magnetic than the one who clung to outcomes. Before we can fully embrace detachment, it is essential to understand why attachment locks us into the very reality we are trying to escape. Attachment is not just desire. It is a subtle, invisible force that keeps you tethered to the familiar, even when the familiar no longer serves you. It manifests as incessant thinking, overanalyzing, and a constant push to control outcomes. It is the mental and emotional habit of saying, "I cannot be happy until this happens," or "My life will only be complete if this unfolds exactly as I want." Attachment convinces you that your peace, your worth, and your identity depend on events outside of you. And as long as this belief persists, your energy becomes dense, restricted, and reactive, unable to flow naturally with the currents of life. This is where most seekers encounter frustration. They work tirelessly, meditate, visualize, and recite affirmations, yet results remain elusive. Why? Because attachment creates resistance at the deepest level. When you are clinging to a specific outcome, you are signaling to your subconscious that you do not trust the process of life. Every worry, every anxious thought, every desperate attempt to force circumstances sends out a vibration of lack. Instead of aligning with possibility, you reinforce the timeline you already inhabit, the timeline of struggle, waiting, and longing. It is not that manifestation has failed. It is that your own energy is quietly holding you in the old reality. Attachment often masquerades as motivation. "I am so driven, I must keep pushing," you may tell yourself. But push too hard and the very thing you desire slips further away. The universe does not respond to anxiety or tension. It responds to alignment. Attachment distorts your perspective. It convinces you that the external world must mirror your internal state. If the job, the relationship, or the opportunity does not appear immediately, your mind interprets this as failure, rejection, or lack of control. And yet, the reality is that your inner state, the energy you carry, creates the framework in which outcomes can occur. If that energy is constricted by fear, obsession, or neediness, reality simply cannot rearrange itself freely in your favor. Attachment also binds you to the old self. This self is rooted in scarcity, in fear, in trying too hard to prove worth or secure survival. It is a self that negotiates with life, instead of moving harmoniously with it. This self is tethered to timelines where struggle feels necessary, where waiting feels endless, and where peace feels conditional. The more you identify with this old self, the more entrenched you become in patterns that reinforce limitation rather than expansion. You may think you are aiming for freedom, for joy, for the manifestation of your desires, but if your energy is locked in attachment, the universe can only respond to what is already present in your vibration, an anxious, clinging, reactive state. The contrast between attachment and detachment is stark, yet subtle. Attachment is tension, detachment is flow. Attachment is control, detachment is trust. Attachment is fear of losing, detachment is confidence in receiving. And understanding this distinction is crucial because it is not just a mental exercise, it is a shift in the very architecture of your consciousness. You cannot merely tell yourself to let go and expect results. Letting go requires first noticing where you are gripping, where you are mentally and emotionally insisting that life conforms to your expectations. It is about shining a calm, compassionate awareness on your own patterns, observing them without judgment and gradually softening your hold. Attachment often hides behind familiar narratives. "If I just work harder, I will get what I want," or "If I plan meticulously, I can guarantee the outcome." These narratives feel logical, even rational, because society teaches us to strive, to earn, to control. But while these methods may yield temporary results in the material realm, they do not shift the fundamental energy that governs reality on a quantum level. On that level, outcomes are not earned, they are attracted. And what is attracted is always a reflection of your internal state. A state dominated by need, tension, or fear attracts resistance, delay, and frustration. A state of ease, trust, and openness attracts alignment, opportunities, and synchronicities. Emotion plays a critical role here. Attachment is rarely purely intellectual, it is deeply emotional. When you feel that life must deliver a certain result, your emotions amplify the tension. Anxiety, impatience, and frustration all send powerful signals to your energy field. And the more emotionally charged the attachment, the more resistant reality becomes to shifting. Detachment, on the other hand, calms the emotional currents. It allows your heart to remain steady even in uncertainty. It creates an internal environment where joy, peace, and fulfillment are not contingent on external events. And from this environment, reality begins to respond in ways that often feel miraculous. Attachment is also closely tied to identity. Consider how many times we define ourselves by our goals or outcomes. "I am only successful if I achieve this," or "I will be complete only if this relationship works out." This identification strengthens attachment and reinforces the old timeline. When you begin to separate your sense of self from outcomes, something remarkable happens. Your energy lightens, your vibration rises, and you enter a space where reality can reorganize itself around your inner freedom rather than your external need. You are no longer the person desperately trying to manifest. You are the person who already embodies the frequency of what they desire. To summarize, attachment is more than just desire. It is a dense, binding energy that keeps you anchored to the past, to fear, and to resistance. It is the mental, emotional, and identity-based force that maintains your old reality. Detachment is not passive. It is an active, conscious, energetic shift that opens the door to alignment. Recognizing attachment, understanding its subtle mechanics, and choosing to soften your grip is the first real step toward transforming your reality. It is the moment you stop pushing against life and begin moving harmoniously with it, allowing the universe to orchestrate events in ways that serve the highest version of yourself. When you can observe your attachments without judgment and slowly release them, you are no longer trapped in the old timeline. You are not giving up. You are stepping into a state of energetic mastery. This is the essential principle that separates those who remain stuck in endless cycles of struggle from those who experience profound, effortless shifts in their reality. And it is this principle, this understanding of attachment versus alignment, that will prepare you for the next step. Learning how to embody detachment as a quantum shift in your identity, where reality begins to respond directly to your state of being. Detachment, when understood at its deepest level, is not merely a practice or a technique. It is a quantum shift in identity. It is the moment you move from trying to make reality conform to your desires, into a state of being where reality naturally conforms to your energy. The distinction is subtle, yet it is profound. Most seekers focus on strategies, affirmations, visualizations, or rituals, thinking that external effort alone can shape the future. While these tools are helpful, they cannot override the energy of attachment. It is not what you do, it is who you are. The universe responds to your state of being more than to your specific actions. Detachment is the gateway to embodying the version of yourself that already lives in the reality you are seeking. At first, detachment can feel unsettling. Your mind has been trained to cling, to worry, to control outcomes, and it will resist any attempt to release this grip. You may feel as if letting go is synonymous with giving up. But detachment is the opposite of resignation. It is a conscious choice to align your energy with the flow of life, trusting that outcomes will unfold perfectly when you operate from this place of alignment. It is the difference between forcing a door open and stepping into a room where the door is already open. This energetic shift is what creates the conditions for effortless manifestation. You are no longer acting from neediness, you are acting from completion. Imagine for a moment two versions of yourself. One is clinging to a desired outcome, constantly calculating, strategizing, and worrying. This self is heavy, tense, and anxious. The other is detached, calm, and present, moving through life with curiosity, joy, and trust. Which self feels more magnetic, more capable of attracting opportunities, relationships, and experiences? Which self seems to naturally draw the universe toward them? The answer is clear. The detached self, even without conscious effort, begins to radiate a frequency that resonates with the reality it desires. And the remarkable part is that this resonance is invisible, yet it carries immense power. It is the energy behind the manifestation, the invisible architecture upon which all outcomes are built. Detachment also transforms your relationship with time. When you are attached, you live as if the universe must deliver on your timeline, creating tension, impatience, and often disappointment. Detachment, however, allows you to enter a state of timeless presence. You recognize that the unfolding of life is not a race, and that what is meant for you cannot bypass you. You begin to act and move in the world without anxiety about deadlines or guarantees. You live in a state where the journey itself is fulfilling, and the destination becomes a natural extension of your inner alignment rather than a frantic chase. This shift in perception is one of the most liberating aspects of detachment. It removes the pressure and allows reality to catch up with your energy. Emotionally, detachment is transformative. Attachment generates fear. Fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. Detachment, on the other hand, cultivates trust and inner stability. You no longer equate your sense of worth or happiness with outcomes. Your joy becomes self-generated, self-contained, and radiant. This is not a passive happiness. It is an active, conscious state of inner fulfillment. And the universe responds to this emotional clarity. When your internal world is aligned, your external world inevitably begins to reflect that alignment. Opportunities appear, synchronicities emerge, and people and circumstances begin to shift in ways that feel effortless, almost magical. Detachment also reframes failure and obstacles. The detached self does not interpret delays, setbacks, or challenges as negative reflections of personal inadequacy. Instead, each moment is seen as part of the process, a piece of the timeline being rearranged to support your highest good. This perspective reduces stress and anxiety while increasing awareness of subtle signs, patterns, and nudges from reality. You begin to notice doors opening where previously you only saw walls. You see guidance in coincidence, direction in apparent setbacks, and opportunity in moments that would have once caused panic. The detached state creates a heightened sense of perception, a clarity that is impossible to achieve when clinging to neediness. Identity itself is the anchor of detachment. Many seekers attempt detachment superficially, by practicing mindfulness or meditative exercises, without addressing the deeper identification with the outcome. True detachment requires that you embody a self that already feels complete, capable, and abundant without needing external validation. It is the embodiment of the future self, the version of you that exists in the reality you desire. As you inhabit this self consistently, your energy shifts, and the universe responds accordingly. You are no longer pushing a timeline, you are aligning with a frequency that naturally brings the timeline into being. The difference is subtle but unmistakable. One is effort, anxiety, and struggle. The other is flow, alignment, and magnetism. Practical detachment is not about doing nothing. It is about conscious action guided by alignment rather than compulsion. You continue to work, create, and engage with life, but your motivation is no longer fear-driven or need-driven. Instead, it is curiosity-driven, joy-driven, and trust-driven. Every step you take resonates with the energy of someone who is already living in the reality they desire. The universe meets this state not through coercion but through resonance. What is happening here is not magic in the fantastical sense, it is the natural response of consciousness to energy. When your vibration shifts, your reality shifts to match it. Detachment also teaches patience, but in a very different way than the world defines patience. It is not about passive waiting. It is about active presence. Being fully immersed in the current moment, accepting the unfolding of life, and simultaneously holding the vision of your desired reality without forcing it. In this state, time becomes flexible, and the linear pressures imposed by fear and need dissolve. You begin to notice that life orchestrates experiences and opportunities with precision, often revealing a wisdom far greater than your own. Detachment allows you to witness this orchestration with calm and appreciation rather than anxiety and doubt. Ultimately, embodying detachment is about a complete identity shift. It is no longer about being someone who hopes or struggles, but someone who trusts, flows, and magnetizes. Your actions become effortless, your decisions become intuitive, and your life begins to align in ways that feel both natural and extraordinary. The moment you embody this identity, you experience the reality shift. You stop chasing, you start being. And from this state, reality begins to reflect not just your desires, but your inner evolution. This is the transformative power of detachment. It does not merely change circumstances. It reshapes you into a version of yourself for whom the desired reality is inevitable. Once you have embraced detachment and shifted your identity, you may wonder how to recognize the changes taking place. Reality does not always rearrange itself in dramatic or obvious ways. Often, the shifts are subtle, almost imperceptible at first. It is like the quiet stirring of wind beneath the surface of a still lake. The water appears calm, but beneath, currents are moving, reorganizing, and aligning in preparation for visible change. The key is learning to observe these subtleties, to notice the gentle nudges, synchronicities, and inner cues that indicate reality is responding to your new state of being. The first sign is often a sense of inner peace. When you release attachment, anxiety and tension begin to dissipate. You notice that you are no longer driven by fear or desperate need, but by calm curiosity and alignment. Life feels lighter, and even ordinary moments carry a sense of ease. This internal shift may feel small, but it is profoundly significant. It is the energetic proof that you are no longer clinging, and that reality is beginning to mirror your alignment. You may also notice that previously overwhelming situations begin to feel manageable, that decisions feel easier, and that your mind operates with a clarity that was absent when you were trapped in the cycles of attachment. Another indicator is synchronicity. Events start to align in ways that appear meaningful, even uncanny. You might run into the right person at the right time, discover information you need seemingly by chance, or encounter opportunities that feel perfectly timed. These synchronicities are not coincidences. They are the universe's way of signaling that your energy is in harmony with the reality you desire. The detached state allows you to perceive these patterns because your awareness is no longer clouded by need or desperation. You begin to notice connections, pathways, and possibilities that were invisible when you were attached, overthinking, or controlling outcomes. Emotional responses also serve as indicators. After detachment, you may find that you feel lighter, more joyful, or more confident without external validation. You experience subtle waves of excitement and inspiration that guide your actions. Instead of forcing results, your intuition becomes sharper, guiding you toward choices that align with your desired reality. This emotional clarity is a hallmark of the shift. It signals that your internal state has realigned, and that your external circumstances are beginning to reflect this inner alignment. Detachment also changes the way you perceive challenges. Obstacles that once seemed frustrating or limiting now appear as opportunities for growth and refinement. Delays are no longer interpreted as failure, and unexpected turns are received with curiosity rather than anxiety. The detached state allows you to flow with life's rhythm rather than resist it. As a result, you find yourself making decisions with less stress, and navigating complex situations with greater ease. This flexibility is a sign that reality is starting to move in response to your energy rather than your effort. Another subtle yet profound sign is the emergence of effortless manifestations. When you are detached, you may notice that outcomes appear without struggle, often in forms you had not consciously imagined. People, circumstances, and opportunities seem to align in ways that feel natural, almost as if they were orchestrated specifically for you. This is the essence of manifestation through detachment. It is not about forcing reality to match your expectations, but about becoming the frequency that attracts the desired outcome with minimal effort. The universe mirrors your inner state, and as your vibration rises, the external world adjusts accordingly. Detachment also brings clarity in relationships and interactions. You no longer act from neediness, fear, or control. Communication becomes authentic and connections deepen naturally. You attract people and experiences that resonate with your energy rather than attempting to force alignment. This shift often leads to a sense of ease in social, professional, and personal spheres. It becomes evident that when you release attachment, others respond to your authenticity and confidence, further reinforcing the feedback loop of alignment. Physical cues may also emerge. Many people notice subtle changes in energy levels, sleep patterns, and overall vitality. When your energy is no longer constrained by attachment and tension, it flows more freely throughout your body. You may feel lighter, more vibrant, or more centered. These physical sensations are often overlooked, but they are key indicators that your internal energy is reorganizing to support the new reality you are embodying. Ultimately, the moment reality begins to rearrange itself is not always a single event, but a process. It is experienced through subtle signs, inner shifts, and a growing sense of trust in the unfolding of life. You may not see immediate, dramatic results, but the cumulative effect of these subtle shifts sets the stage for visible manifestations. The detached state allows you to move through life with flow rather than resistance, creating a fertile ground for the reality you desire to emerge organically. As you continue this journey, it is essential to remember that these signs require awareness and patience. Detachment does not guarantee instant results, but it guarantees alignment. Every small indicator, peace, synchronicity, emotional clarity, effortless manifestation, is a confirmation that your inner state is resonating with the reality you are attracting. The universe is quietly responding to your energy, setting events in motion that will eventually reflect your new state of being in tangible, meaningful ways. By learning to recognize and honor these subtle indicators, you reinforce the practice of detachment. You begin to trust the process, knowing that reality responds naturally to your alignment rather than your effort. This awareness deepens your connection with the universe and strengthens your ability to navigate life with ease, confidence, and grace. What once felt elusive or unattainable now unfolds in its own time, confirming that the moment you release attachment, reality does indeed start to respond. As we reach the conclusion of this journey, it becomes clear that detachment is not merely a practice. It is a way of living, a state of being that transforms not only your outcomes but your very experience of life. When you release the need to control, when you allow life to unfold without grasping or forcing, you step into a space of profound freedom. This is a state where outcomes no longer dictate your happiness or worth. You are no longer tethered to the anxiety of must have or must achieve. Instead, you inhabit the self that is already complete, whole, and aligned with the rhythm of the universe. Living in this state does not mean you stop dreaming, creating, or aspiring. On the contrary, it means you engage with life from a place of authenticity and joy. Your actions are driven by inspiration, curiosity, and alignment rather than fear or lack. You move through your days with a sense of lightness, knowing that the universe is conspiring in your favor, orchestrating opportunities, relationships, and experiences in perfect timing. This trust is not passive. It is an active presence in every moment, a confident understanding that what is meant for you cannot bypass you. Detachment also deepens your connection with yourself. You begin to understand that peace, joy, and fulfillment are not external prizes to be won. They are internal states to be cultivated. The moment you stop seeking validation from outcomes, your energy becomes magnetic, and reality naturally responds. Synchronicities, intuitive guidance, and effortless manifestations become not anomalies, but natural consequences of your alignment. You realize that your inner state is the true architect of your life, and that detachment is the foundation upon which this architecture is built. Moreover, detachment reshapes your relationship with fear and uncertainty. The unknown no longer feels threatening. Instead, it becomes a playground for trust, curiosity, and growth. You learn to embrace the flow of life, navigating challenges and surprises with grace. Every moment, whether seemingly favorable or difficult, becomes an opportunity to deepen your alignment and reinforce your state of being. This is the essence of living in the energy where outcomes chase you rather than the other way around. A life of effortless manifestation grounded in trust and presence. As you integrate these insights into your daily life, remember that the journey is continuous. Detachment is not a destination but a practice, a conscious choice to embody the self that is aligned with the universe. Each moment of surrender, each release of control, strengthens your ability to navigate reality from a place of calm, clarity, and confidence. And over time, what once felt elusive, the life you desire, the experiences you long for, the version of yourself you admire, begins to unfold naturally, beautifully, and inevitably. Ultimately, the power of detachment lies in its paradox. By letting go, you gain everything. By releasing the need to control, you step into alignment. By stopping the struggle, you allow life to move effortlessly toward you. And in this space, you discover a truth that transforms everything. When you live from the state of detachment, you are no longer chasing outcomes. Outcomes chase you.